Mary had a little Sue. Its power level was as high as could be. Every show Mary Sue was in, the old fans were sure to go away because it was terrible. So, I used to talk about Mary Sue's a lot on my channel. Why there are too many nowadays, how Disney has too many of them, what a Mary Sue is, and even more. And it seems like modern day writers are just doubling down over and over again, even when it seems impossible to do so. People first voiced their problems with Captain Marvel, but not that much. The MCU was still going strong, and it was only one bad movie. At first, we ignored the Mary Sue-ness of Rey in The Force Awakens, but then it happened. The Last Jedi reared its disfigured face, and we could no longer hold our tongues. We all felt a great disturbance in the Force, and millions of voices refused to be silenced. And honestly, after all my Mary Sue videos, I thought I said all I needed to say, but I found out that they are getting even worse! A lot of writers, actors, and a large majority of the mainstream media like to parrot this narrative that the massive flops that keep happening over and over in the film industry are due to some sexist incel gamers crowd that they've turned into their big bad boogeyman. And due to these supposed authorities making such claims, it caused a lot of people to take this point of view on face value, and basically just repeat the same arguments that the mainstream media came up with. But the worst was yet to come.
Hey, butthead.
What, Beavis?
Char said come.
That was cool.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Hey, Professor Dreadlock, did you have something you wanted to show me?
Yes, but put on this Viking outfit.
But why?
Well, I got an email from an acting company, and they said that they wanted us to be in a movie. It takes place in a fantasy world full of pillaging raids and shadowy creatures, legendary characters.
Wait a minute. This isn't a job offer, Professor Dreadlock. It's an ad for Raid Shadow Legends. Raid Shadow Legends is a free online multiplayer turn-based strategy game with more than 700 champions to choose from, 15 factions, endless customization, and interesting PvP combat. Are you looking for a new challenge in Raid Shadow Legends? Well, you're in luck. They just added a fearsome new boss. This undead general is guarding everything you need for Accessory Ascension, a new feature that allows you to upgrade your gear to even higher heights. And if you somehow manage to miss out on this incredible animated limited series, Raid Call of the Arbiter, then you can check out all 10 episodes on the official Raid Shadow Legends YouTube channel now. With all of this exciting stuff and more coming to Raid, if you haven't started playing yet, then what are you waiting for? Use my link in the description or scan my QR code to get instant bonuses. We are talking epic champions Knight Errant from Bannerlord's faction, and other useful things, energy refill skill tome, XP boosters.
Nice.
I just wanted to play Halo 2 online.
That game doesn't exist anymore, but Raid Shadow Legends is still up and kicking on both mobile and desktop versions, both with regular content update. I feel like every single YouTuber I know about has advertised this game. At long last, it's finally my turn. Anyways, guys, don't forget to click the link in the description or in the pinned comment to check out this awesome game. Soon, more characters started getting the Mary Sue transformation, like live-action Mulan. After all, it's what the modern audience wants, right? But I'm sure you already know about all of this. So, how have Mary Sue's gotten even worse? Let's try to visualize this. Firstly, there's been a growing trend where no woman could be saved by a man in modern movies or TV shows. They're always hyper-competent, and no matter what they do, or how evil they are, they can and will be redeemed. Or at the very least be the second most evil in comparison to someone else. Typically a man. Let's start with She-Hulk. The show starts with her cousin Bruce wearing a device that keeps him in his human form. But why? Well, it's so she can be the one to save him. When she's at a bar, she's helped by a group of women, and catcalled by a group of men who harass her, and might have done something to her if she chose not to transform. She also tells the Hulk that she has much better control over her anger than him. Why, you might ask? Well, it's because she experiences first world problems. Yep, First world problems trump being dehumanized by the entirety of society for something you couldn't control. She also doesn't really seem to get any flack for not considering other people's feelings. One scene that really sticks out was when one of her friends asked her to not transform at her wedding. Later on in the episode, she does that to fight some villain named Titania, and her friend for some reason is ecstatic to see her transform. And because of all of these convincing reasons, anyone who doesn't like her is an evil troll man baby, or some other insult that a bunch of rich entitled elites wanna plaster onto everyone who disagrees with them. And the writer's big smoking gun they try to use to fix all of this is, well, she breaks the fourth wall. That's right. When she doesn't like the lemons she's been given, she just breaks the fourth wall and just changes everything to suit her needs. So as powerful as Wanda is, someone who took out an alternate version of Captain Marvel and a ton of other powerful superheroes, She-Hulk is still leaps and bounds above her when it comes to power, because she can literally rewrite reality. She can take away Wanda's powers if she wanted to, among other things. She's the closest thing to the one above all out of all of the characters the MCU has. Say what you will about Captain Marvel, but she never rewrote reality to get what she wants. We were given the worst ending I have ever seen ever, just because the writers wanted a self-insert for women empowerment. I've done a full review of this show if you want more info. But up next, we have Wendy from Peter Pan and Wendy, or just Wendy as I like to call it. Making She-Hulk, Rey, Captain Marvel, and even Mulan into a Mary Sue is one god-awful thing, but making Wendy into one is on a whole nother level. At least the other women have powers, or know how to fight. Wendy, other than learning to fly, is just about as normal as they come.
Butthead, Jar said come again.
No. Get out.
In the original Disney movie, she's kind, motherly even, but she also knows when to put her foot down, even if she is a bit of a damsel in distress. But someone at the writing department, who probably spends more time on fanfiction.net than doing their actual job, said to themselves,
I can fix her by making her into a badass sword fighter and have her say the line, this power belongs to no boy!
She breaks a mirror as she sword fights with her brothers, then shifts the blame onto them when her parents ask her about it. Like, even in robot culture, that's considered a dick move. This is also basically the only interaction we see with her and her brothers, which heavily implies that she was this shitty as a kid on average. Anyways, because of her play fighting with her brothers, she's able to take up martial arts and become a competent fighter. Lol, I'm just messing with you. She doesn't do any formal training. But those play fights with her siblings somehow give her the skills to take on battle-hardened pirates that are 2 times bigger than her. She puts herself in comical, dangerous situations she doesn't have the training to handle, and is never saved once. In fact, she's the one to save Peter Pan. The line about how this power belongs to no boy is cringier than people die when they are killed. 6 times over. It made me cringe so hard I couldn't even laugh at it at first. When a line is so bad it's even hard to make fun of, you know it's got to be a bad line. Now I saw someone try to compare this to a line from Return of the King. The thing is, the writer Tolkien did not make that line to make himself look super woke, and Mary also helped her by stabbing the Lich King in the back. It's also kind of up in the air if she was the one to kill him or not. Did the Lich King mean that no one with a dick could put him 6 feet under? Or was he referring to man as in humans? Mary was a hobbit, not a human. As far as I know, aside from the 1 ring and the 3 elven rings, it's not really confirmed what the power of the other 16 rings are. So I don't know if that whole line about no man can kill me was referring to his ring's power or not. Also, even if Tolkien was trying to be woke, and she was the one to kill the Lich King, then it's still not as cringe as, this power belongs to no boy! By the way, the Lich King dying is how I looked when I heard that line. Tinkerbell never backstabs Peter, and even Tiger Lily is a badass. Other than Wendy's mother, every woman in this show has to kick ass and touch grass. Oh, and I also guess the nameless lost boys who weren't all boys, even though this story was originally a coming-of-age story for boys, also really didn't do anything. I've reviewed this movie in my The Downfall of Disney Remakes video. I'll link it down below if you want to learn more about this movie. Also, yes, Disney live-action remakes used to pull in a lot more money than they do now. So please, stop commenting about the title. And finally, I just got done reviewing all of The Witcher Blood Origins. It's the worst thing I have ever reviewed yet, until my big Star Wars video is done. Our main character, the Lark, is a badass woman who will save the Waldo. Her and the other guy get locked up, but she's too cool for the rules and Locke picks her way out. Other than her swordmaster, who is also a woman by the way, no one else stands a chance in a duel with her. Also, she is the mother of the most important character in all of the Witcher lore. Out of the 7 members in the group, 4 of which are women, only the men die. Sure, I guess Brother Des survives despite having his face smashed in, but I still think it was a last-minute change. Also, did I forget to mention, he got his face smashed in! The princess is supposedly saved by a man, but he just gave her a knife, and she did all the heavy lifting herself. Also, I just realized this, but she's the only woman who dies in the entire show, on screen at least. Now, the princess may be a villain in the show, who isn't redeemed, but she's only the second worst, because clearly the mage just had to be put in to be an even worse villain than her, because he has testicles. Hell, Indiana Jones gets shown up in his own movie by his goddaughter. Take out the word daughter because she might as well be God. She's perfect at everything and is the one to save him. You know, the guy who survived a nuclear explosion by going into a fridge, as if he was leftover ham or something. The same guy who also, by the way, in Temple of Doom, survived jumping out of an airplane by using a raft. This guy of all people has to be saved because he has a pee-pee by someone who doesn't have a pee-pee. Because it's the current year. Even The Mandalorian is moving perspective from being about a man because the mouse needs it to be about a woman. Also, an AHSOKA trailer just dropped as I was scripting this part. We have evil men like this Sith, and Thrawn, a fan-favorite villain. You can tell they're bad guys because they pee as they stand up. We have female characters from the cartoons like Green Woman, Teen Femdalorian, and more. Girls shooting, doing cool things with lightsabers, and of course AHSOKA saying,
Anakin never got to finish my training. I walked away from him.
No, you walked away from the Jedi Order because they tried to execute you. Another girl power line that, if I had an organic brain, would kill more brain cells in me than Joe Biden's ice cream clearly does to him. By the way, yes, I do have a human brain, but it's been mechanized. I came up with a term for lines like this. I call it cat whistling. It's the left-wing version of dog whistling, but it's more so in your face all the time, everywhere. Now, there is one Sith who is a woman, but I'm gonna take a wild guess that she's going to be redeemed. Just like that one Sith girl from Kenobi. I love that because her friends were all killed, and she was also almost killed. She joined the dark side and was like, can I join you guys because it looked really based and red lightsaber pilled. Also, yes, I know they aren't Sith because of the rule of 2. They are just Dark Jedi, aka Inquisitors. So please don't tell me in the comments. Because every main character woman, along with a few side female characters, who all have to be as badass as much as possible, men are doing less and less. Even Nick Fury isn't safe from this in Secret Invasion. He just gets talked down to like he's a toddler who just shat on the rug and doesn't know any better. And that's just one out of many examples I have of this plague that has swept across the media. Whenever I see a modern day movie or show and a woman is the main character, then I feel no tension at all because I know she's going to be good at everything, won't need to be saved, and won't have to make any kind of sacrifice for the greater good or to get what she wants. I'm going off script for this point, but do you guys remember that movie Terminator Dark Fate? Yet another one of these movies that tried to capture the magic of Terminator 2, and of course failed. But unlike all of those previous failures, this one tries to have a woke plot twist. The film is like, guys, you see this woman right here? Just like in the first one, we need to protect her because she's going to be the mother of the savior of humanity. And then later on, they're like, ha ha, We tricked you. She's not the mother of the savior. She's actually the savior herself. Bet you boys didn't see that coming! Yeah, I felt nothing at this reveal. Everyone in the world saw it coming. It's not really a unique plot twist when every other movie and show is already doing it. Well, maybe you should watch other movies and shows you enjoy instead. I already do. Top Gun Maverick and Across the Spider-Verse are movies I enjoy, along with a lot of other people. That's why they are so successful. I know people who don't like me think I'm a part of a small sexist minority of people. But then, how do you explain the fact that the type of movies I'm complaining about are making less and less money? Spider-Verse had a black main character and a pregnant Spider-Woman, but it wasn't pushed in your face so much that it ruined the movie. Why are people calling Rey a Mary Sue but not Miles Morales? Are sexism and racism some kind of kryptonite for one another and they don't overlap? Are people just sexist and not racist? Or could it be the obvious fact that he's a good character? All I know is that the woke virus will eventually leave these franchises and move on to another host. We still have some good, strong female characters even now, so hope isn't gone just yet. I understand that women in old shows and movies didn't exactly have the best roles, but we have gone too hard in the opposite direction. Remember, two wrongs don't make a right. Shows, movies, and other things will get worse and worse, but I'll be here to suffer through it, so you guys don't have to. Anyways, stay tuned till after the credits for some bonus content about how to do Mary Sue's the right way, and if Bella Swan from Twilight is or isn't a Mary Sue. Guys, those videos cost a lot of money to make. I will keep on listing them and upload a new Mary Sue video with them in it until I break even. Hey guys, so before we move on to the credits and get to the stuff after the credits, I just wanted to give a shout out to my editor KaiserTrigger's latest video, 5 gotcha fan bases in a nutshell. Also on the subject of men saving women in modern day TV shows, I recently saw the first episode of My Adventures with Superman, and in that episode, Superman saves Lois after she saves him. But then again, aside from Princess Peach, she's basically the biggest damsel in distress in the world. So I guess you could say Superman saving Lois is a canon event. Also, I mentioned in my full review of The Witcher Blood Origin that I would be going over Mary Sues who do awful things and everybody just forgives them for their actions. Unfortunately, a lot of you didn't see that video. Of course, there's Amber from Invincible, She-Hulk, and Wanda from WandaVision enslaving an entire town. But I already went over all of those in past videos. But the main character from Blood Origin, the Lark, literally burns the family alive and believes that her singing will fix everything she has done. And guess what? Her singing actually starts a revolt against the evil empire. Yeah, that's on a whole nother level when you compare it to every awful thing the other Mary Sues have done. If you want more context, watch that video, please. For the love of God, I want to break even on it. Okay, now we can get to the credits. Bella Swan is often called a Mary Sue, but is she? Well, we're here to find that out today. I've already went over all the Twilight movies in my last video, so I would recommend checking that out, just to catch yourself up to speed. I've gone over Mary Sues lots of times on this channel, and I thought I was done. But then I found out that no one has made a video about Bella Swan being a Mary Sue. Sure, lots of people have called her one, but being the Mary Sue expert I am, I will be looking into her to see if she is one, and how Mary Sue-ish she actually is compared to, well, other Mary Sues. If you've seen my What is a Mary Sue video, then you should already know my different classifications of what a Mary Sue is, and the different types of Mary Sues that are out there. Firstly, about 90% of Mary Sues are the main character. Now that does not mean all main characters are Mary Sues, but most Mary Sues are the main character. Bella Swan is for sure the main character in Twilight, but that doesn't make her a Mary Sue. It just means she's more likely to be one than if she, well, wasn't the main character. So, is Bella Swan really powerful? Well, No, not until the last movie. Yes, she is immune to vampires' unique abilities with no reason given, but by that logic, any character ever with a superpower would also be a Mary Sue. Most vampires and wolves could one-shot her, and she needs to be protected all the time. Yes, when she's a vampire, she's stronger than Edward, but all newborns are stronger than most vampires for the first year, because the rules of the Twilight universe are stupid. When she becomes a vampire, she can now create shields, making others immune to vampires' unique abilities. Now, a block everything shield does seem like a bit of a Mary Sue power, but keep in mind, it only works on vampires' unique abilities, and most of those abilities aren't really useful for combat. When you compare Bella to people like Rey from Star Wars, Captain Marvel, and Mulan, she doesn't really seem all that powerful. Okay, maybe she can kick Mulan's ass, but you gotta compare Sue's to their verse, not to other universes. But, is Bella Jerk Sue? This is a character who does bad things and everyone will defend them on it. Bella for sure has to be a Jerk Sue, right?
Yes, but actually no.
Yes, she does stupid things all the time, but she's not really an asshole to people that much. Yes, she's a bit of a bitch to her dad and ignores her friends after Edward breaks up with her, but when you compare her to someone like Amber from Invincible, someone who broke up with Mark just because he kept a secret from her for her own safety, and then all of Mark's friends joined her side, or Tila from Masters of the Universe who blew up at He-Man's parents after their son just died because he died without telling her he was He-Man, then got pissed with He-Man in the afterlife for sacrificing himself to save the universe. Bella doesn't seem so bad now, does she? Is Bella a villain, Sue?
What are you, stupid?
No, because she's not the villain. So is Bella not a Mary Sue? She's not perfect or even comes close to it, that's for sure, but she does tick off the second biggest Mary Sue box. Everyone loves her to death and will do anything for her. All those who don't are evil. So here's why people call Bella Swan a Mary Sue. Edward loves her for seemingly nothing. And so does his whole family. Well, everyone but Rosalie, who ends up liking her later on. Jacob loves her for seemingly nothing at first, but later on it's revealed that he's really in love with her unborn baby. Yes, that happened. Go watch my Twilight review for more info. Both the vampires and the wolves who have been fighting for years put aside their differences just to protect her. All the vampires who don't like Bella are evil and most of them end up dead. Like the Volturi, Victoria, Laurent, and James. God, that name is still so lame for a villain. I'm just picturing the odd ones out as an evil vampire every time they say his name. Like I said earlier, all of Bella's friends let her back in their group after she blew them off for months. Oh, and everyone in the small town she goes to knows her and wants to be her friend. This is why people call Bella Swan a Mary Sue. The whole universe revolves around her. And a lot of Twilight fans project themselves onto Bella because she's a blank slate. After 5 movies, I know nothing about her other than the fact that everyone likes her. Some people used to call Bella Swan the biggest Mary Sue of all time, and, well, that really didn't age well. I can think of 5 Mary Sues off the top of my head who outdo Bella in almost every way. Don't get me wrong, Twilight is one of the worst series I have ever seen, but I don't see Bella as that much of a Mary Sue. Maybe it's because of all the other Mary Sues that have come out in the last 10 years.
Give me your fucking money!
I'm going to be talking about how you can make a Mary Sue character that people will actually like. Now I'm gonna create my own original OC Mary Sue right here, right now. They are a female. They are perfect in just about every way. All the characters love them. They are one of the most powerful characters in their verse, if not the most powerful. And they sometimes do terrible things that the other characters just seem to ignore. So far, this doesn't seem like such a good character, and it sounds like a lot of people won't like them. But I just have to do 2 things. Well, technically 3, but I can pick between 2 of them, and it will completely fix the character. Number 1, don't make them the main character. And number 2, make them either a villain or a mentor. I already went over this in my last video, but the villain Sue is one of the best Sues. People love a good villain. They don't care how powerful they are, it just gives the hero something to overcome. So if you want to make a Mary Sue character, make sure they're evil and diabolical. You can make them somewhat sympathetic if you want, but it doesn't matter how powerful or perfect you make them, because 99.9% of the time, the villain is supposed to be overcome and defeated by the hero. But even then, sometimes villain Sues can have their own issues to them, like Madara Uchiha. He was just too powerful and too perfect. He went toe-to-toe with the first Hokage, who has big tree muscles. Even characters with just a few of his cells become Joning. Madara got his own super form merging with the World Tree, created the Infinite Tsukuyomi to mind control the entire planet, and he just out of nowhere gets defeated by Kaguya because the writer couldn't figure out a way for the heroes to defeat him. So yes, even a villain Sue can be written terribly. But the only Sue that's easier to write than the villain Sue is the mentor Sue. You're probably thinking to yourself, what the fuck does a mentor and a Mary Sue have in common? Believe it or not, it's a lot more than you might think. The main mentors I'll be focusing on are the ones from anime, because I'm trash. Look at characters like Master Roshi, and yes, I know in Z he was by far not even close to being one of the strongest characters in the verse, but in original Dragon Ball when Goku first met him, he was the strongest in the world. He could blow up a mountain, or the fucking moon, and no other character in original Dragon Ball even came close to doing something that cool. Master Roshi regularly sexually assaults women, along with a whole bunch of old mentor characters. In real life, if an old man sexually assaulted a young girl, he would probably get called out, go to jail, maybe get sued. A lot of bad things could happen. Just like the characters from Invincible ignored the terrible actions of Amber, every anime character ignores that their mentor is sexually assaulting teenage girls. Repeatedly. At least give Jiraiya credit, he mostly went after of-age women, except for that time he had Naruto use his sexy jutsu so he could check out the young body of a 12-year-old girl. You know, now that I'm an adult looking back on this, it's a hell of a lot more creepy than I remember.
It's awful.
And also, Jiraiya is one of the 3 legendary Sannin. He ranks with the 5th Hokage and Orochimaru. But what about old mentor characters who aren't complete pervs? Like Netero or Genkai. They are both strong old mentor characters who are the strongest humans in their verse. And before you say, what about Yusuke? Well, he was part demon, so it doesn't really count.
Whoa there, Mr. Gay Robo-Man. You're gonna talk about Urameshi, but not my boy Kuwabara, when he can split dimensions with his sword? You can suck on my sword!
The only problem I have with these old mentor characters is when the writer refuses to let them die. Genkai died, but then she came back to life, but then she did basically nothing throughout the story, so she might as well have been dead. Now, I haven't seen all of Fairy Tail, but from what I've been told, the old mentor character at the very end uses a spell that would greatly decrease his lifespan. And he was already an old man, so it was guaranteed to kill him, and he somehow survived. But what about old mentor characters outside of anime? Like Gandalf or Dumbledore, also known as Gandalf the Gay. What do all of these mentor characters have in common? Well, they're all really old, that's true, but they're also really powerful and seemingly perfect, so why don't we hate them in the same way we hate other Mary Sue characters? Well, the answer is actually quite simple. You see, the biggest factor to being a Mary Sue is when the universe revolves around them, also being granted a whole bunch of power without working for it. All mentor characters have worked very hard, sometimes harder than any other character in the verse, to get to the power level that they have now. Well, everybody except for Gandalf. Yes, if you actually read the books, you would know that he's not actually an old man, that's just a disguise. Old mentor characters are almost always destined to be surpassed. Now, there are a few mentor characters who never seem to be surpassed, like Mr. Miyagi, but Master Roshi got surpassed, Jiraiya got surpassed, and even Fumbledore got surpassed. That's what keeps villain Sues and old mentor Sues from being actual Mary Sues, because they're destined to be defeated or surpassed. And that's why if you create a Mary Sue character but still want to keep them, make them a mentor or the villain. Can you think of your own way to make a Mary Sue character work? Tell me in the comments section down below. Now, I want to make something very clear. I'm going to be talking about Mary Sues in the future, but I'm not going to be making any more videos specifically focusing on the concept of a Mary Sue. I do plan on making a full video about Rey, or Kirito, or maybe even Korra. But no more videos specifically on the concept of being a Mary Sue.
No.
Now, if you already have a Mary Sue character who isn't a mentor, a villain, and is the main character, but you want to fix them, then make them less of a Mary Sue as the story goes on, kind of like what they did with Korra, or Rick from Rick and Morty. Yeah, Rick is kind of a mentor character, but he's a pretty shitty one. But never forget, Mary Sues aren't the only characters who are hated. There are other characters who aren't Mary Sues that people hate. Like Caillou.